Hello and welcome to the Home Ed 360 podcast. This is a podcast of stories, resources, and tips for implementing a home education lifestyle provided by Home Ed 360, a program that connects, inspires, and supports families on their home education journey. I'm your host, Rebekah Wood, a teacher from Home Ed 360, tuning in from Idaho Falls, and today I'm so excited to be joined by Lucetta Lilly. Lucetta is a Home Ed 360 teacher, a home educator, and she's also our lead on direct orders and reimbursements. So I'm excited to have her on for a few funding questions that we'll do later on in the episode. All right, so Lucetta is a mom of 5. 4 are in IHLA. 3 of them are in Home Ed 360. She has been home educating for 10-ish years. They started in Utah and continued when they came to Idaho to found IHLA and their awesome programs. They really enjoy being together, learning new things, and getting creative. Lucetta, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Becca.
Here's a quick preview of what we'll cover today. So Lucetta is going to tell us all about her journey into homeschooling and tell us about how it happened because she was not expecting it from when it all happened. So we're excited to hear about that. And then after hearing about her story and asking her about insights from her homeschool journey, we're going to talk about funding questions and what sort of things, where our ECA funds come from, and also what that looks like and what you can purchase with funds. So Lucetta, we're excited to get to know you better and learn from you. We would love to hear more about your family, your education and background experience, and how you started home educating.
Awesome. I'm happy to be here. So we started, it was never in my plans to be a schooling at home family. I grew up with a public school teacher mom, so I always thought my kids would just join the ranks and be public school children their whole lives, and like traditional public school, I should say. And then about the time my oldest was in 3rd grade, my second child was going into kindergarten, and he started kindergarten. Everything was going pretty smoothly, except that he was bored out of his mind. He already knew all of his letters. He could count anywhere from 1 to 100. Like, you could start anywhere in that number sequence and he could keep counting or go backwards. Like, he was ready for a higher level. And so he was kind of bored in school, and I was afraid that he would probably start to get in a little bit of trouble.
As those ones usually do.
Absolutely. Did he
do preschool or anything like that? Or did you like know that he was going into kindergarten with all?
I did. Yes, he did do a preschool program. It was an at-home one, mostly online based, but I knew that he was going into kindergarten a little bit over-prepared. And I wasn't, like, that wasn't a problem for me. I was okay with that. I mean, I wanted to meet him where he was, right, and help him keep going as fast as he wanted to go. So I knew he was a little bit over-prepared, but I didn't know what that would look like once he got into the public school brick and mortar setting. And I found, like, he would come home and tell me about his day, and he's like, it was fine, it was okay. I spend a lot of time in the reading corner because I get my stuff done faster, and I already know what she's talking about, Mom. And when that kept being repeated almost every day, I was like, okay, I need to do something else. We need to change this up. I knew that it wouldn't be a good thing if we stayed in that pattern. So I looked for different options, like having him skip a grade or anything like that wasn't really an option. But I looked for different options to maybe help in some way. And I felt prompted and inspired to bring him home. And at first I was like, okay, I'll just do him. We'll just have him at home and it'll be fine. But then I felt prompted it was to be both of them. So I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this.
Awesome.
So the oldest one was again in 3rd grade. So we brought them both home, and in the beginning, I kind of piecemealed the curriculums because I had been researching homeschool for a while, and I didn't know which one would fit for their learning style better. So I kind of picked and chose from all of the curriculums I had researched and kind of piecemealed it together. A few years later, that was like the traditional homeschool style. And then a few years later, I was introduced to another school that was in Utah that's kind of a sister school to IHLA in a way, called My Tech High. And that is a program very similar to what we do here, and started the schooling at home. The program helped me connect with other families. I was actually introduced to it by another homeschooling family. And so they got me into My Tech High, and that gave me just a bigger community. I didn't feel as alone, and that really helped me connect with other families, and that was really helpful, because even now, 10 years later, I'm still, I have waves of not feeling totally with it, like not feeling like I'm enough. You know what I mean? Like, am I doing it right? Am I being okay for my kids? Am I doing what's best for them? Is this really what I should be doing? Like, am I good enough to do that? And like, these programs have really helped change and fix my mindset of that. So as I was getting ready to move to Idaho from Utah, I knew I wanted a program similar, because it helped meeting people and changing my mindset. And I found IHLA, and when we moved here, I knew that I wanted to already be a part of it. So I researched it and got all the paperwork filled out with the dates that we were moving and everything, so that as soon as we got here, we could just transition over. And it was perfect because we moved right as school was starting. So it was ideal to transition in. So yeah, that was kind of a long answer to your question, but that's kind of how we began, and we've just had all the other kids come along with it. And there have been a couple times that they're like, Mom, I want to go to public school. I want to go to the brick and mortar. My friends go there. I want to go there. And I say, you know what? That's fine. You know what? I want you to think about it. I want you to ponder it. I want you to research it. And then I want you to pray about it. And what your decision is what we'll follow with. And you have to stick it out for at least a semester, because you're going to give it a good go if that's the deal. But ultimately, they've all chosen to still stay home.
Yeah. So none of them actually like went to brick and mortar. They went through the process and then made the decision just to stay home.
That's right.
I really, really like that process, because that puts it back on them, and that shows them, they do have to go through a process to make a big decision like that. That's a really
Yeah. I mean, even my oldest, who started in brick and mortar school, and after we pulled him out, he wanted to go back at one point because he had a really good friend that went to the local one. And I told him the same thing, and he ultimately still said, you know what, I'm supposed to be here. I said, great, let's keep going.
I want to kind of go back and talk deeper into the feelings of inadequacy, because that was really, thank you for sharing that. That's vulnerable to share that, like, even 10 years after doing it, you still feel those feelings of inadequacy sometimes. So what has helped you get through, and how can you talk more specifically of like how the programs have helped those with those feelings of inadequacy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I've noticed it kind of comes in waves, right? You feel like you're on top of the world, you're on it, you feel like you're doing good things, your kids are thriving and doing great, and then all of a sudden you kind of hit like a roadblock or a stumble somewhere along the road, whether it's your kid or yourself, where you feel like you're doing too much, so you have to step back for a minute. And so then that can sometimes trigger just those feelings of not being enough. And with IHLA especially, with Home Ed 360, I found that when I get to feeling those feelings, sometimes I just need to talk to the teacher. And just speaking to the teacher saying, hey, I am struggling with this area, with this child, or even just, what do I do? Because I'm struggling here. And just to hear their encouragement, and they're like, hey, let's look at what they're doing. Look at how amazing they are. Look at what they're doing in this subject. Look at what they're doing in that subject. And you are doing awesome. Like, you're doing awesome. So they're just, like, the whole program, everybody in it is so encouraging that if you step back and talk to one of them, you get right back on the boat and you're like, I can do this. I can do this.
I'm so grateful to Home Ed 360 for being so positive in that way, because I felt that as a mother and as a teacher too. Like those feelings of inadequacy are hit us very hard as mothers in general, but to be schooling our kids at home, like that's just even more feeling of that inadequacy. But yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree with everyone in Home Ed 360 being so encouraging and saying the right things to be able to push through those hard times that you mentioned, like the low
And they're
times.
so good at it. It
Yeah.
feels like, I don't know, because I've talked to some parents of my own that have struggled with it as well. And it just, I don't know, you can step back and say, but look at what they're doing. And it just feels like you have a bigger connection, like a deeper connection with your families because you know them. And you're like, no, I know where you're coming from because I've been there. I have felt what you're feeling right now. And guess what? You are doing amazing. Keep going.
And there's proof in the submissions. Like
Yes,
the submissions are just proof of all the good things that they are helping teach their kids and that their kids are showing learning and growth through the submissions. And so
absolutely.
I love the submissions too for that reason, because it's showing growth and learning in in what the kids are learning at home. So that's
Agreed.
awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So when let's see. So I know one thing also that you've really liked from the experience of home educating is connection. So what are some things specifically that have brought such strong connections to you and your family in your time of schooling at home?
Well, my children throughout this whole process have gained and are still gaining a deeper love of learning and learning to dive deeper into things that really interest them. We are able to face things together and learn from each other and make it a process, which also brings a stronger connection in our family as a whole. I like being able to say, hey, you are interested in this. Great, let's dive deeper. And helping them through that process of actually learning to gain a love of learning. And we've been able to connect with other families that have similar interests and experiences and values and love to create connections all the way across the state. I mean, yeah, it's great to have the community, but we also have like across the state, right? It's not
Yeah.
just in your local area.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of cool.
Really
And
cool.
we just, yeah, we really like to be together and meet the people in person that we see online. And it's a really great experience.
So you said that your one of your boys had the really good friend that was going to school, which is why he wanted to go to school, right? So how do you like if I heard, my kids, that'll be hard for when if my kids say, but my best friend's going to school, like I want to too. How have you guys overcome that? Maybe through connections with other families or like connections as a family. What has helped with his connections with other kids or with other friends or with that friend that goes to public school?
We would, especially when he made the decision that he still needed to stay at home, we would make sure he got extra time with that friend, like on weekends or on the Fridays that they didn't go to school or some other time where he could still have a little bit more connection because he didn't get the school time. And, we also talked about like what it would be like at the school, reflecting back to what it was like when he was younger. And how much time did you really get to socialize? Yeah, you got recess in third grade, but you don't get recess in high school, so we kind of helped him put it into perspective a little bit. And he still had connections with people that homeschooled though. And that was helpful. But his absolute best friend was in the brick and mortar public school area. And we just made sure that he got more time with that friend on a regular basis.
Yeah. That's great because I know some people have this, homeschooling kids don't get enough social, so that's a good way to hear about it and answer it. What is your favorite part of homeschooling?
My absolute favorite part, I think, is knowing exactly what my kids are learning. I don't have to take it secondhand or anything like that. I don't have to ask for what the curriculum is and try to look it up and research it. I know exactly what they are learning. And we get to decide together what they learn. And there isn't someone else's agenda to deal with or anything like that. And I really love teaching my kids that there are two sides to every coin. Every story has two sides. So your job as a person is to stand on the edge. Notice both sides, see both sides, then come to your own conclusion. And I love being able to do that with my kids in life situations, in school situations, in all aspects, so that they can look at all points of view instead of just their own. And I think that helps them when they come across any contention themselves or conflict themselves in some way. They can sometimes, once their emotions come down a little, right? They can sometimes step back and actually put themselves in the other person's shoes, so to speak, and see it from their side as well and go, oh, that's why you feel that way. And it helps conclude those contentions a bit better.
I really like that analogy of the two-sided coins and standing on the edge of the coin so that they can see all sides. And you mentioned being able to choose what they learn together. How do you involve your kids in that process of being able to learn, to choose what they get to learn?
So that's a really good question. It kind of varies depending on the kid.
And probably the age of the kid too, right?
And the age of the kid, for sure, for sure. There have been times that, like my daughter, we started her on one curriculum this year for math and English together, and she just hated it. And it was a full curriculum. It was a really good curriculum, but to her, it didn't fit her learning style. And she's like, Mom, I just don't like it. I'm like, okay, well, let's try this one. How do you like this one? That one's okay. It's better than that one, but I still don't love it. And I said, okay, here's some choices. Why don't you look at them and see which one you might like? And she picked which one she actually stuck to. And she stuck to the one she picked.
Powerful. And to learn and to know her own learning style and how she learns.
Yeah.
That is a life, and is such an important life skill. That's
Agreed.
great. Yeah. What is your least favorite part of home educating?
Sometimes I think we get tired of being together. You know how sometimes you see the same four walls or the same people a little too frequently and you just need a break. But that's also, I mean, even though maybe it's the least favorite part, but it's also a great opportunity to get creative in finding ways to combat that. So sometimes we invite other people over so they have a new and different face. Sometimes one of my kids gets invited somewhere else. Sometimes grandma takes one of the kids and then they start missing them. You know, I mean, and it can just be for an hour or two. It doesn't even have to be that long. But then they realize, oh, I kind of miss them. I usually do this with them and they're not here to do that. And it helps change that tired of being together mode.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, if you're all together in one house all day long, every day.
Exactly.
So, what are some things that have gotten you through? We kind of already touched on this with the inadequacies, but do you have more examples or things that you can share about what has gotten you through the hard times of homeschooling?
I'm trying to think. Sometimes just changing it up for a day or two. Because, you know, we have a fairly rigorous schedule. The kids get up in the morning, they do their morning chores, they do their schoolwork, and then they can play afterwards. And sometimes we're just like, you know what? We're going to take the day off. We're going to go to a trampoline park. We're going to just take a break for a day, have a brain recharge day, or maybe we don't leave the house that day. Guess what, guys? Stay in your pajamas. Let's have a reading day. Like, we just change it up for a day now and then, and that helps not only me recharge, but it helps them recharge too, because they're like, oh, that was kind of nice. I like that. And then they're not so, oh, we have to do school today. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just to take that break and then come back. Do they come back pretty fresh-minded, like ready to get back into the routine?
Yeah, they do, and it's great.
Yeah. Cool. So you've been with IHLA for a while now, and so what other ways has it blessed your family being a part of IHLA and then Home Ed 360?
So I started with IHLA as a teacher in 2023. Obviously, been schooling with Isla a bit longer than that, but I just absolutely loved Janet's vision and getting to know the kids in my own homeroom on a deeper level. I know their faces now. I don't just know their names and the kind of work that they turn in, but I know their faces. I can recognize them when I see them in public. And when they see me at a play or something that they happen to attend at the same time, they're like, oh, I know her. And it's been really exciting that way. And it's like, I have enjoyed seeing both the teacher side and the family side of it all. And this has allowed me to help other families that have had questions that I had 5 years ago. And if I didn't know the answer, I know where to find it. I knew I could trust, like before I was a teacher, I knew I could trust coming to the teacher if I didn't have an answer to a question. They would, if they didn't have it, they knew who to ask or they knew where to look. And now I do too. It's great.
Yeah, I love that about our team of teachers, that if one of us doesn't know it, somebody is going to know it.
Yes.
For sure. And you're in what area of Idaho are you in again?
I am out in a little tiny town called Asequa in the middle of nowhere.
And what area does your homeroom take in?
Rupert, Burley, Paul, and Hayburn.
Okay, that's fun. So you get to see kids from all of those areas. Probably Burley. Is that Burley the town that you would go to for?
That's the main town, yeah. Okay. That's the biggest, I guess, of the four.
I know Burley, and I've heard of Rupert, but I don't know, all the other little ones around it. So, okay, let's dive into some funding questions, because a huge blessing and a huge reason that people are a part of this program is because of the supplemental learning funds.
Absolutely.
And it allows everybody who wants to be a part of home educating to do that, so that they can use the funds for learning resources that will provide more learning and help and hands-on things to their children. And so I know a lot of people have a lot of different questions about it, and so hopefully we can go through some of those questions and answer them for people who may not know, or review them for people who do know but don't remember. So let's start at the very first thing of, where do the funds come from? Where do we get, $1,800? Where does that $1,800 that each family gets per kid, where does that come from?
Sure, yeah. So the funds themselves come from the state. The school is given so much money per student or per group of students who attend. So that money goes to help run the school. It helps cover salaries and expenses that might be incurred in running this program. And then we, as a team or as a school, are able to pass on some of that benefit to the families to purchase curriculum and educational needs, because we don't have classrooms to furnish. And so the families do need those resources still, right? They still need the paper, the pencils, the school books, and the curriculums that they can choose from. So we're able to pass that on from the state.
That's awesome. So it has changed a little bit, like from 17 to 1800. Can you say anything about why it has changed, or how it changes a little bit from year to year?
The amount that the students get individually is actually an IHLA partner choice. So that was Janet's decision, that she figured, once she looked at the budget, she figured she could actually increase the students' allotment by $100 this year, and that's been a huge blessing.
Yay! Thank you, Janet.
Yeah.
You brought us so many blessings.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we know where the money comes from. What one other thing about that? So explain how much, how it's split between semesters, and then maybe just say how that, it's not just a check given to people. How is it distributed to families?
Oh, sure. Yes. So we keep it kind of like an educational credit savings account. We keep it in a big pot, right? We have it here at the school. That's how it is. Oh my gosh, Becca, I lost the word.
That's how it's kept. Yeah, we
delete that part out.
Saved with us. But yeah, you're good. You're totally fine.
So it's kept in one big pot here as an educational credit savings account. from there, we get the disbursements from the state at certain times during the year. Okay. So because we get it in sections, we can give it to students in sections.
Okay.
So we divide it into semesters just to make it clean and easy for parents to remember and understand when it comes. So first semester, you get half of it, and then second semester, you get the second half. Quite often, second semester is done not until February, even though the semester starts in January, because of when we get our disbursement. So tell me again what other parts of that question you had.
That was good. That makes sense. How is it distributed? So, right, we don't just write a check to people for the amount. How
Correct.
do we distribute this money to the families?
So there's two choices, really, is by reimbursement. So things that parents have purchased and they would like to be refunded or reimbursed for, and direct orders, where we make the direct order and have those items sent directly to the family's home for educational purposes. So is it okay if I dive a little deeper into those?
Yes, please do dive deeper in and tell us more about direct orders and reimbursements.
Okay, so the direct orders, again, is an order that we place. I have a team member who is phenomenal at placing direct orders. She's so fast. And she's kept the families very happy this year.
I was going to say, yeah, like everybody who's talked to me about their funding, their direct orders and reimbursements have been very happy with the turnaround time.
I'm so glad. We've worked very hard to make the turnaround time as little as possible. But so we have a form that is completed that gives us the wish list of either an Amazon or Rainbow Resources website that shows us the list of items the parents are requesting or the family is requesting. And we go through those items, and we will not purchase things that are not approved, but we'll purchase all approved items and have them shipped directly to the family's home. For reimbursements,
so just to clarify really quick, the only two wish lists and sites that can be used for direct orders are Amazon and Rainbow Resource. Is that correct?
Those are the main ones we use. Every once in a while we can do a direct order from other websites, but those are rare and extenuating circumstances.
Okay.
So I will
if
tell
somebody
you right
had
now,
another website, they would have to contact you directly and then say, could I use this website?
They could still submit the request for the direct order, but I would probably contact them and say, okay, here, tell me your situation, what's going on, and can you do it this way, please?
Okay.
But I will tell you, we haven't been able to do Costco orders for whatever reason. They don't like us shipping it to someone else, so they cancel them.
Okay.
We don't do Costco.
I've tried, but it just didn't work.
Yeah, so we don't do Costco, even though when we were last year, we were able to process some Costco orders, and last year they started canceling them, and they still do this year. So we are not able to do Costco direct. We will reimburse for Costco orders, but we cannot do direct orders for Costco.
That's good to know. I would have guessed Costco would have been an okay.
I would have thought so too. But they like to cancel them. It's fine.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Okay, reimbursements. How do those work, and what is that like?
So reimbursements is where the family will purchase educational items, and it can be from many other websites besides the Rainbow Resources and Amazon. And they submit the receipts through Schoology, showing us the vendor, what was paid for, and the total amount and how it was paid, and the date of purchase. And we approve the items in Schoology that are we approve the items in Schoology, and they are reimbursed through a system that we use called RAMP. Okay. So once a reimbursement is approved, then I go through the process of putting it into RAMP, and RAMP will send an email to the families asking whether they would like ACH, direct deposit, or a check sent, and that's how we process the reimbursement. They'll get it whichever way they prefer.
Okay, cool. Okay, two questions about that. One, so what if it was like gymnastics lessons, ballet, dance, something like that? How does the receipt maybe look for that? If you're just like paying the teacher, do you ask her for a receipt from them?
So that's a great question. So for bigger gymnastics places, they usually have a receipt template that they can just print one off for you, and it's pretty easy. But for more individual ones or smaller places, they don't always have that as part of their system. We have a reimbursement template that can be printed off from the Home Ed 360 website, and you fill it out, take it to them to sign it to show that you have paid for those classes and that they've seen it, and they approve, like they say, yes, you have paid for these classes, and then you submit that template to us.
Perfect.
Try to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, that seems pretty easy. So you just go to the Home Ed 360 website, and on there they can find the template.
Yes.
And you know what? I'll link that template in the show notes, in the episode notes too, for people listening who want to find that. And then the other question about that is Schoology. So can you explain how direct orders and reimbursements are all done within Schoology and how they should do that?
So direct orders are not actually processed in Schoology. There is a Google form that is completed to request a direct order. However, the total amount of the order is put into Schoology so that the parents can see how much in educational credits they have left. Reimbursements are submitted straight into Schoology. In the parents' Schoology account, they are assigned to a reimbursement classroom. In that classroom are the reimbursements that they can submit just like they do homework assignments. We try to keep it as easy as possible, similar across the board. They need to make sure they're in their own account instead of their student's account, but it's still submitting an assignment to make it as easy and smooth as possible.
That's great. You're doing a really great job at explaining all of these things too, because people have these questions all the time and they come to homeroom teachers, but then they eventually realize, let's just go to the funding team because they know all the answers.
Well, I will tell you also that if they ever want to know what amount they have left, if they go to their reimbursement classroom, over on the left, there is a menu that says grades. If they open that up, it's just like a grade book, and you can see all the expenses. You'll see the direct orders at the top, and if you scroll to the middle, there are the reimbursements. Scroll to the very, very bottom, there's like a fraction at the bottom, and it's the total amount that has already been spent out of the total available. Perfect. So they can see exactly what has been spent at any given time.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because that was another question that popped in my head about how they see that, because I know people have had that question as well.
Oh, definitely. I've sent a lot of screenshots.
Yes. Okay. Let's see. So you can check in Schoology. Okay, in the parent Schoology account. So to clarify, it's always in the parent Schoology account, not in the student accounts.
Correct. Yes.
Submissions and uploads are all through the student accounts, but when it comes to the ESA funds, the educational credits, those are all the parent's account, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay, what are some examples of things that they can use their educational credits on?
I'm glad you asked. There are so many, so I definitely will keep it to an example level. But anything that is student quality items that can be used to meet state standards is one of the biggest rules we have. So computers, headphones that connect to the computer so they can do their classes, secular curriculums, math manipulatives, software updates for the computer to run well, pencils, paper, printer ink, workbooks, science supplies for experiments, private lessons such as music, dance, and many PE items that they can bring home to meet the PE standards as well. There also is kind of a general list on the Home Ed 360 website as well that is super helpful.
Yeah. And I will link that as well in the show notes so that people can find it directly here as well. With computers, though, I know there's a few guidelines around computers, right? They can't just get like the most expensive computer. So what are the guidelines around computers?
The main point on those are student quality.
Okay.
So anything over $600 needs a special request in order to be approved or denied. And special requests can actually be submitted before the item's even purchased. So you can get it approved or denied beforehand. And really, if you have any question on an item, you're always welcome to email us as well, and we'll tell you yes or no before an item is purchased if you're seeking reimbursement for something. But with a computer, at least for this year, we feel like anything over that $1,000 range is starting to get out of the student quality range. Yeah. So not the high-end Mac, not the gaming
computers, yeah, with all the gigs and
right?
all
Not those big deal computers that can process high things. We're looking at things that can run their school stuff. Mm-hmm. That's the student quality that we're looking for.
Yeah. Can you think of some examples of things that people have wanted to get reimbursed or direct ordered for, but that we're not allowed to?
That is an
or just give some examples of things that are not, right? Like food, furniture.
Definitely. Household products like paper towels, sometimes paper cups, depending on if there's a special request telling us that they're for a science experiment, things like that. We might, if an item is not over $600, we still might request a special request just to get more details about what that item might be used for, because it might be something we would normally say no to, but we might say yes depending on how it's being used.
Okay.
But anything, pesticides, things like that, that are household products that are consumables are quite often not reimbursable because we struggle to figure out where they can fit into a state standard.
Okay, yeah. So talk about that fitting. The reason that we reimburse it is because of tying it to a state standard, right?
Yes. We want all things that we say yes to. Janet loves saying yes. We love saying yes as a whole team. We're so excited when we get to say yes.
Yes, I love it.
But we still want it to tie to a state standard so that we can show the state also that what we reimburse for or what we purchase really has a value to the family educationally.
Yeah. Okay. That was very informational. One other question that has passed my mind is about, so it says specifically secular curriculum. I think there are some religious curriculums that maybe have secular and religious parts of it. Are there some that could be like dissected and then parts of them, like the secular parts, can be purchased?
Yes,
and the absolutely. Religious part can be purchased on your own?
Yes, that's a good point. Sometimes religious curriculum, well, not sometimes, always religious curriculum cannot be covered with the educational savings account, but they can still be used in school, right? Some curriculums, they have religious things across the entire curricula, but others actually have pieces that have the religion in it, like you were saying, but other pieces that do not. And if you purchase them separately, we can reimburse for the secular portions.
Okay. And I just want to make clear that although you can't use funds for the religious parts of curriculum or religious complete curriculums, those can be turned in for submissions. So if people choose to use religious curriculum and use their own funds for it, they can still use those for submissions and uploads, and that's fine. Okay, what other questions? Can you think of any other questions that people have asked that maybe we could talk about? I'm trying to think of any others as well. I definitely want to talk about like how to reach out to you guys. Like setting up a Zoom, if somebody wants to talk on Zoom about funding questions, or do you guys usually just do emails, or what is the best way to like talk to you, chat with you, reach out to you when people do have funding questions, maybe about something particular? Okay, great. I don't know if I'm going to put this in the episode, but is there a video, like any video clips walking through Schoology, like showing how to do reimbursements and direct orders? Okay, great. So if they go to their parent account into like the reimbursements course, is that where they are? Okay, perfect. I think I'll link all of that here with the episode too. So when people are
Perfect.
listening, they can watch the videos with it as well. Okay, one idea that I'm just having right now, as well as like it would be fun that I'm not going to include this in the episode, but it would be fun to have people share. I don't know exactly how, but share how have the ESA funds blessed their family. Just share like a little blurb about it's blessed
That
my
would be
family
amazing.
by, and then either like they could just write them in and I could like read them at the end of the episode or record people like giving a little audio of how they've blessed their families
That would be
and then
kind of
include that
fun.
on this episode. I
How
would
you
I might just like post it on the Facebook page or something and people can comment,
go.
put it in the episode or something. I don't know. Yeah. And yeah, when I've talked to a few other teachers that have taught like in different states and stuff, a long time ago, homeschooling used to be for the families that were very well off, that had a lot of money. And
Yeah.
those were the ones that you would see that were homeschooling, but which I didn't know. Like I had never pictured homeschooling being that. But yeah, Janet starting this program or these programs are able to kind of equalize it for anyone. Like homeschooling is for anyone and all people, and it makes it
Agreed.
available for anybody who wants to do it, which is so wonderful. Yeah. And that's what it was, one of the negative things that they were saying, right? Is like we're paying
Yeah.
families. Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, let's end the recording on asking the question of how has Home Ed 360 and how have the funds or not, how which you've kind of already touched on it, but how has it blessed your life? Yeah. Yeah, the whole state of Idaho.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you're thinking that you'd like to share before we wrap up? Okay, that was very well said. But yeah, you're wonderful, Lucetta. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us because I know you're busy with your family and with being a teacher and also doing all of helping with the reimbursements and direct orders. Like that's a huge job and you guys do such an amazing job at that. So thanks for sharing your story into homeschooling and your bravery and being able to take the step and take the leap to do that. And then also sharing so many insights on funding and helping us understand that process better, and seeing where that money comes from and how we can use it. So thank you so much. And thank you so much to everyone who's been listening to this episode. We're grateful that you're joining us and that you keep tuning in each week. So thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.